Welcome and good evening to you all. We are meeting today to discuss the rejuvenation of the river Yamuna, and it is to be a citizens' dialogue. Why we chose 9th of April? We've been having a meeting for many years on this day, and this occasions an important green lung, and that's the Lodi Garden. So it's the 89th anniversary of Lodi Garden today, and the 33rd anniversary of the Green Circle of Delhi. Now, in the morning, can we have that photograph up, please? So in the morning today, we commemorated with breaking bread with the staff of Lodi Garden. All of them joined, and we had we commemorated it with a lunch for them. So they work around the year, so we can only give them lunch on one day, but we did that today. So we have a distinguished panel of speakers at the Citizens Dialogue. We have Justice Swatantra Kumar, former chairman of the National Green Tribunal, who did pivotal work in bringing focus on the Yamuna and the Ganga, and the former judge of the Supreme Court of India. We have Professor Deepak Pental, former Vice Chancellor of the University of Delhi. Now, I must mention this, that Professor Pental has really been pushing us to do something for the river Yamuna. And, constantly he's been at it. And we are grateful for that push because we've tried to mobilize. Then we have Professor A.K. Gosain, former professor of civil engineering at IIT Delhi. Professor Gosain happens to be at the moment in New York, and he is joining us from there. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much. Then we have Mr. Reena Mahajan, founder Studio Diversity, Paris, architect, urban planner, and advocate of sustainable cities. Oh, there you are, Reena. Welcome to you.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, she's joining us from Paris. So in spite of Trump's, going against globalization, we have managed to get New York and Paris, though they are very much our blood. Okay. Then we have Professor Ram Kumar, who's joining us from Gaya, Professor of Environmental Science, Central University of South Bihar. Welcome, sir.
Yes. Yeah, good evening.
Yes, fine. So we also had Dr. Asad Rahmani, former director, Bombay Natural History Society, but unfortunately he can't be with us. He's been taken unwell. That's Professor Babu. He's been taken unwell, so he can't join us. And then yours truly, Suhas Borkar, will probably can't call it chair. I'm going to moderate the meeting. Okay. So now this is the first meeting I'm holding after my term as the trustee of IIC has been over, which was for 2 years. So without, I just want to flag a few points before I give the floor, and I ask Professor Deepak Pental to open the meeting because he's been the push behind this, holding this. So you see, the city of Delhi alone continues to contribute more than 70% of the pollutant load. That's untreated sewage and industrial effluents in the river Yamuna. And the Yamuna floodplain ecosystem along its 22-kilometer stretch through Delhi is highly degraded and lost in some stretches. Expanding and upgrading sewage treatment plants, STPs, is essential. Stringent measures are required to stop industrial pollutants from entering the river system. Now, this we have been saying this a lot over these years, but nothing seems to be happening. I mean, probably we are lacking political will. Maintaining minimum river flow is critical, as the rivers reduce flow during the dry season spirals the concentration of pollutants. The idea of riverfront development, which concretizes the floodplains and permits constructions till the very edge of the main channel, has to be avoided at all costs. Now, this is another problem which is now we are going to face, because there are some what should one say, some quarters or some elements who want to concretize the riverfront, and this has happened in many places in the country. But it will degrade the entire ecosystem. Uh, so maintaining a high level of ecological integrity of the river ecosystem has to be recognized as a critical part of the rejuvenation strategy. We have Professor Babu here, who will probably intervene on how the biodiversity parks are critical in this rejuvenation process. And then probably we have to raise it at the national level, a concerted action plan, so that it's just not Delhi; impacts the whole uh, country. So, without further ado, now can I request Professor Deepak Pental to open the discussion.
I have many friends sitting here, and all of you know that I don't work with environment or with ecology. I am a plant breeder who uses genetic engineering technologies which are not liked by environmentalists much to get the productivity of the crop higher. But I think it concerns everybody that the river flowing through this city, which has huge number of people living on both sides of the river, should be in a form, should be in a way in which citizens, when crossing the river, can feel that everything is okay. You don't get that feeling. You get vast stretches of area which is nothing growing, or somebody comes during summer season and sows some vegetables there, which further pollutes because you use pesticides right next to the waterfront, and they directly go in the water stream. Now, the sad reality is that there is not going to be seasonally, there will be a lot of water when the rains are very high and all the dams are having enough water, so the water is released and Yamuna comes into spate for a few days. But otherwise, it is not having enough water. So I had Professor Babu, who is my colleague for many, many years and a very dedicated environmentalist. And I had not even done this to go and visit the biodiversity park, which he has made with so much effort. But a couple of months back, before you had the first seminar, I went to see it. And I think that the only solution we have for the river is that we cover it with a large number of diverse plants which grow in this kind of ecology. And even if somebody has great fancy idea of concretizing anything and motorboats running through the river, that can be done later on. You can remove all that vegetation and put your concrete thing. But right now, there's not enough money with the government. We don't have working plants, enough plants to treat the water before we dump it into river or to low areas. I mean, in Vasantkunj, where I live, there used to be a storm water drain. And today it is throwing out water, sewage water. It's really horrible situation. And if we put those plants, we don't know how to, we don't run them properly. That's the administrative side. But something will have to be done for treating the plant before it is, treating the water before it is put in the river. And I am not going to say I have come only due to my strong concern, and I've been asking Mr. Borkar, who organized it. He's very active in this area, actually. I am not. But I felt that he was the right person to get us all together. And I'm now going to request Professor Babu and Fiaz, if you would like to, or whosoever would like to show us the glimpses of the biodiversity park in 4 or 5 minutes. I think that is enough from my side. The rest is for all these people with green thumbs to do the job.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor Deepak Pandit. All right. A river has a complex network of ecosystems with a high ecological integrity among them, all of which contribute to the health of the river. Anthropogenetically mediated activities resulted in the loss, degradation, and dysfunction of river ecosystems, which affected adversely the health of the river. How to rejuvenate the river is a challenge today. I just want to tell you, during the last 100 years or so, many reports have been submitted how to regenerate the river, and many what you call committees have been formed, and many sessions have been what you call offered. Most of them are on the paper, some of them failed, and some of them are still on the decisions. Decisions have not been taken. But in this connection, I would say a landmark judgment was passed by our Honorable Judge Swatantra Kumar, and still that is the only document which protects our Yamuna. Otherwise, the river Yamuna would also disappear, just like the Saraswati, which already become extinct, become a legend. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to discuss all those what happened in the past. Biodiversity park concept is an innovative approach for rejuvenation of rivers through bringing back the degraded, the loss, the degraded, and dysfunction river ecosystems to their natural state, having high ecological integrity, using ecological restoration principles, community ecology, and ecosystem science. This holistic concept also includes in situ remediation of sewage in the drains that discharge their content into the river by using a nature-based solution that is the constructed wetland system, and consisting of just rock filters and plants. This concept was implemented for the development of the first biodiversity park, that is the Yamuna Biodiversity Park, perhaps in the world, by Delhi Development Authority in joint collaboration with Center for Environmental Management of Degraded Ecosystems. Along the floodplains of the river Yamuna, in the upstream of Hyderabad Barrage. This Yamuna Biodiversity Park has now become a global model for rejuvenation, for replication in riverscapes, for rejuvenation of the rivers. In fact, I must tell you, after Honorable Judge Swatantra Kumar passed his landmark judgment, the NGT has ordered to establish biodiversity parks all along the floodplains of all the rivers in India, including the river Ganga. And a guidelines for the establishment of the biodiversity park has also been published by Central Pollution Control Board with the approval of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. I also want to tell you, following this order, the National Mission Clean Ganga, realizing that STPs alone cannot rejuvenate the rivers, has initiated the establishment of biodiversity parks along the floodplains of the rivers, including Ganga, as a part of rejuvenation of rivers. I just want to bring to your kind attention that already 7 biodiversity parks are being established along the Ganga in UP. And the funds have been earmarked and they're still in the infant stage. It will take at least 3 to 5 years before they really become a functional ecosystems and contribute to the rejuvenation of the stretches where these are located. Now, I just go through a few 5 slides on the emphasis of the Yamuna Biodiversity Park, particularly phase 2. And this is the Google Earth map. You can see the river Yamuna. And then you can see the Jagatpur Bund, which separates the floodplain and the river from the rest of the what you call human settlements. And then you can see the phase 1 is on the inactive floodplain. It spreads over about 157 acres. And this never gets flooded because of the high bund, which is about 211 meters above the mean sea level. Now, this phase 1 is connected to the phase 2, which is directly connected to the river. You can see the river, the connection between the river and the phase 2, and is about 300 acres, spreading over the entire flat floodplain, which is connected to the river and gets flooded annually. Now, this phase 2 has a diverse ecosystems. Now, I'll show you. This is a restored phase 2 Yamuna Biodiversity Park, showing restored floodplain forest ecosystem, restored grassland ecosystem, restored catchment wetlands with islands. You can see the cat. This wetland stores 500 million gallons of flood water annually and discharge huge amount of water to the groundwater, and also provides water to the main channel during the lean period when the water level in the barrage is extremely low. And then you can see on this side there's a marsh, and this marsh also supports a unique what you call flora and fauna, and also contribute to the integrity of the ecosystems. And I must tell you, the same phase 2 diverse ecosystems during the flood. And you can see the flood water. In 2023 floods, the water stayed there for about 35 days. And the level of the water in the first 1 week was up to 7 meters. But you can see that those restored ecosystems are resilient and contributed to reduce the what you call risk of the flood. And why? It has slowed down the flow rate and also allowed the water to spread across the one, and then also get the what you call suspended material sedimented. There are many factors which has operated. It has contributed to the what you call rejuvenation of the river during the high floods. And next, please. And now you can see when I told only offers on ecosystems. Now you have 8 different types of grassland ecosystems. And all these 8 grassland different types of ecosystems play a significant role in taking out the excess flood water and recharge the groundwater. And that is the role of grasslands. The grassland ecosystems are known to generate water. And then you can see we have the restored wetland with a large number of migratory birds. I think still we have some more birds. Anybody wants to see it, they should go and see it. And then we have 3 types of marsh ecosystems showing what you call different levels of water. All these have been restored and have a high ecological integrity and contributing to what you call the health of the river in the upstream, not in the downstream. Downstream has a different story. Now, I also want to tell you that we have another biodiversity park in the floodplains. That is also floodplain biodiversity park. Kalandi Biodiversity Park is located in the floodplains of the river Yamuna in the downstream of the DNA flyover. And it spreads over about 200 hectares. And I must tell you, out of 200 hectares, 140 hectares is covered by floodplain forest wetlands. Now, these floodplain forest wetlands store a huge amount of floodwater, and that floodwater is actually available for the what you call a river during the lean season and also contribute to the groundwater. Now, as a part of restoration of that stretch of the river, we restored these wetlands. Then the major problem with these wetlands is all these 140-acre restored wetlands have what you call are highly degraded due to discharge of raw sewage from 11 drains running into at least 2,000 MLD. Now, there is no STP for this 2,000 MLD because it's all coming from unauthorized colonies located along the what you call the banks of the river. And we have what we call developed bioremediation technologies using a constructed wetland system, but because of the express highway going from Sarai Kalakan to Hyderabad, many of these constructed wetlands which we developed for the treatment has been dismantled, and now we are again going to have it. But we have one constructed wetland which is functional, which I will show you. I was 45-second video, which will tell you how the raw sewage can be made into a clean water of having passing solid. And as you can see, sir, this is the video. First is what is passing through the gas filter. And you can see the clean water. And this technology is a superb technology, does not require energy. Within 30 minutes, you can get it in water, you can see it. It is entering into Yamuna. Straight away entering into Yamuna. And what would be the cost? The cost would be the cost of this stones and a little bit screens and also aluminum mesh to embed this one, and that's all what we have. Now, what I want to say at the end is that the network of biodiversity parks and the pattern of Yamuna Biodiversity Park along the floodplains of River Yamuna not only bring back the lost degraded function river ecosystems with high ecological integrity to their natural states, leading to regeneration of a river in Delhi Stretch, but also render other ecological services like a purification of air and buffering of the ambient temperature, in other words, cooling of the air, and also prevent heat island formation, and also what you call enhance the groundwater availability to the city and citizens, and thus the biodiversity park concept would contribute to environmental sustainability of the city besides rejuvenation of the river Yamuna. It's all what
Thank you very much, Professor Babu. You see, in that the opening remarks I mentioned, I did not, mention biodiversity parks, but it was maintaining a high level of ecological integrity of the river ecosystem. You see, now that's critical, So somehow, anyway, we'll come to the latter part, but I will now request Justice Swatantra Kumar to take the floor.
Mr. Hooker, my distinguished panelists, distinguished guests, invitees. I would not touch upon the techno aspects of River Yamuna. I would just say a few things, and if they appeal to your mind and heart, I think I would have done my job. What I propose to tell you is, what is the environmental law for our country? Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that India is one of the rarest countries in the world which has provided the constitutional pedestal to the environmental jurisprudence and application of jurisprudence principles in our country. It is more specifically called as what is some legal terms, but they are in a very common language, so I don't think anybody would have problem in understanding them, is what we call it as golden triangle of environmental rights in our constitution. Now, this is a very emphatic creativity of law by the Supreme Court and the High Courts of our country. We have Article 48, which is directive principles, require the state government or the central government, for that matter, the government, to ensure protection of environment, and more important line or specification in that is that you're not expected and ensure there is no degradation of environment. Our framers of the Constitution were very wise people. They placed under Article 58 the duty on the citizens to ensure protection of environment and prevent degradation of environment. Now, if who are the people ultimately concerned? It's the people and the governance. There are two basic factors. The most important link between the two, that is the governance and the people, the governed, is judiciary. And judiciary played its most pivotal role by interpreting Article 21 of the Constitution to say that right to decent and clean environment is a fundamental right. The Constitution did not provide this as a fundamental right, but the judiciary, which I would call it as its creativity, and not judicial overreach, that right was given. So if you frame these 3 points into a triangle, you will understand that, yes, that is the significance of environment in our country. Our heritage is so rich. We worshipped mountains, we worshipped rivers, we worshipped trees, and the nature as a combination was the most respected factor in our social setups. Now, please, let's go on a little further. This being the constitutional law of our country, today what are we doing? Whether it is governance, whether it is people, or it is the institutions of executive, we have converted the life to Delhi into a drain. If you go back historically, not even more than 70, 80 years, Yamuna was the only source of water for Delhi. And people were extremely happy with that water. And today you can't touch that river. Who has done this wonderful job? There are 5 states. We start with Uttarakhand, we go to Himachal, we come to Haryana, we come to Delhi, and we go to Uttar Pradesh. Is it not very strange? The most developed cities of our country, of this zone, have a greater contribution of pollutants. Yamuna flows fairly when it comes to Uttarakhand. It comes to Himachal, it's quite fine. You can drink the Yamuna water. It enters Haryana and the pollution starts because it's an industrial town. We come to Delhi and we really play the role of capital of the country and contribute the maximum of pollution to the river. We go to UP, from Agra, it starts again. And it's very sad that the imbalance between sustainable development and greed is a little too high. We forget what is sustainable development, and we are more tilted towards how to make money at the cost of damaging the nature. And we are really very good at it. I don't have any doubts on that. You know, I have just now, Professor Babu told about the judgments written by the Rejuvenation, and I think the Supreme Court was the best on this because it was the first suo motu notice taken by the Supreme Court on here flows the river Yamuna, Madi Yamuna. That's how it begins. Then the cases were transferred to NGT, and I had the benefit of very wise technical minds, one of them being Professor Babu. Then I had Professor Gosai, yes, Professor Gosai. And then one of my expert members, Mr. Sajwan, sitting here. So we try to put in effort together. Now, please, let's look at it from a realistic point of view. Let's forget about the linguistic law of the country. And I must cite to you that what is law? Law, Justice Chagla, the Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court, said, law is not known by the language of law. It is to be understood by the heart of the law. So what is the heart? You have acts and acts, you have regulations and regulations, you have constitutional mandate of the country. But where are we failing? It is the enforcement, implementation, and environmental consciousness. As far as the last factor is concerned, it is as polluted as Yamuna is. Now we come to that, could it be a problem which could be solved in terms of law? Well, certainly, yes. There is, if River Thames can be cleaned to the present state, why not Yamuna? Of course, Yamuna has surpassed Thames also. So what I'm saying is that when we talk of law, when you touch upon the environmental jurisprudence internationally, globally, you have standard principles. The principle of sustainable development, precautionary principle, polluter pays principle, and intergenerational equity principle. Now, when we have all these principles, if you are able to apply them to the facts of a case appropriately, you will reach a right conclusion. Now, the question was normally, which every citizen has a right to ask, that what kind of a judgment a tribunal can give in this? So I would only answer why tribunal can't give a judgment which is required. Because you have experts with you, you have technical advisors with you, you have committees to advise you, you have everybody in the government who will come to you and tell you what they need. Now, therefore, normally three things will come in. One is social aspect, economic aspect, and then technology aspect, besides law. In this case, we had channelized everything. How many STPs you should have, how many CTPs you should have, which drain should be blocked where would you put the plant, how would you ensure each drains discharge? Because as he was mentioning, you may have some remedy. You biodiversity parks will do what? Finally, if you do not improve your discharge into the river. So first prerequisite is improvement of the discharge into the river. Now, if you continue to discharge this, and I am sure with all this, and I make this point very for the consideration of all eminent people sitting here, that we don't have any data on Yamuna. What are we talking about? Everybody says it is sewage, trade effluent, and wastewater. No. Where does the medical waste goes? Where does the industrial waste goes? Where does the technology waste goes? Where are you throwing your wet and dry waste, domestic or otherwise? Well, there's only one place in Delhi which is so easily accessible, and we make full use of it. And therefore, today there is no river. It is just not even a drain, I think. A drain is a better expression to use than Yamuna today. And there was right, and the people here pointing out that when they go from there, it smells, it stinks. Besides the, your nasal senses, what is more important is what you are inhaling. Dr. Trehan had released a video where he had taken up a heart of the one person from Himachal and other person from Delhi. Both he operated for open heart surgery. One was black, another was pink. So one was Yamuna in Himachal, other was Yamuna in Delhi. That's the exact thing we are doing. I would, I'm sure Mr. Volker is looking at me, so I understand the point. What I'm saying is that, let's just see, I come to the last aspect of my talk. Is that a resolvable issue? Or it is an issue beyond our controls and we must accept it as fate accomplished? I would answer the question in the affirmative and say, yes, it is a resolvable issue. Now, what do you need for this? You need simple will of the people and will of the governance. If you look back history of Indian judiciary, Indian politics, anything that people wanted did happen. And our Professor Pentel was mentioning about government having no fund. Well, I have, with greatest respect, and I quite vocally differ with it. You see Delhi, it is full of infrastructure work. You see any part of our country today, I wonder you can ever say that the government doesn't have money. Yes, government doesn't have money for cleaning Yamuna. That I would fairly agree with him. Because why? When we passed the judgment, we had provided from where the funds will come. The central government had given funds to Delhi government. Delhi government itself has annual budget in the 5-year plan, which ran into 2,000 crores. And all it was to be Delhi government to divert its attention and say that, okay, I want to clean Yamuna. Now, what all Yamuna has is only God's gift. I do not know whether you can even do dredging for River Yamuna today. And even if you dredge it, where will you keep that waste? I think you will need another city to keep that waste. And what will it do to the groundwaters? In any case, today we are short on groundwater also, and rightly looking for the next war for water. So we are in a global state of injury to the environmental or our natural assets. We need to prevent it by all force. And the force is we, the people of India, who gave us the constitution that we have. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Justice Satendra Kumar, for that overview. Like the points which you made, one was about environmental consciousness, which is as polluted as the Yamuna itself. And then about the will of the people and the will of the government. I think the will of the people is there, but the will of the government is missing. And then the other thing is that now we hear that the will of the government is directed towards, concretization and leaving just that the channel and right to the edge of the main channel, they'll be concretized. And that I think has to be avoided at all costs. Yes, people must speak against that. Now I would request Professor A.K. Gosain to join us. He's joining us from New York. Yeah, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bokar. A very good evening to all of you. Honorable Justice Satendra Kumar, a very distinguished panel and participants. I'll start with looking at the technical aspects of rejuvenation of a river. I think when we are talking of rejuvenation of Yamuna as a river, its rejuvenation has to be understood in the proper perspective. If we look at any river hydrologically, the water which it gets during the lean flow season is because of the enhancement of the groundwater table due to the monsoonic rainfall which occurs in the whole basin. So during the monsoon, the water table, the groundwater table comes up, which provides the water to the river in different stretches or all throughout the river, with a lateral flow taking place from the groundwater table to the river, which is at the lowest level. Now, what has happened not only in Yamuna, but all the rivers in our country, that the over-abstraction of the groundwater has taken the groundwater table so low that there is a reversal of flow during the non-monsoon period from the river to the groundwater. So I can very safely say that even if what has been directed to the Yamuna River Board, that 10 cumecs of water should be released at Hatnikund, as environmental flow is not being released, but even if it is released, is not going to reach Delhi ever, because it's going to be lost during its path from Hatnikund to Delhi, to the states like Haryana, because Haryana has over abstracted the groundwater so much that the level is much lower. So there's one aspect that if we really want to rejuvenate the Yamuna River, we have to look at the basin as a whole. We have to ensure that there's a legislation on the groundwater abstraction and let the groundwater table come to the level, which is the level during the pristine period. That can be identified technically, and we have done that while doing the river Ganga, the Ganga River Basin Management Plan, which the IIT consortium had put together. And I was leading the water resources management group. We had technically shown by doing the hydrological modeling and the groundwater modeling in conjunction that unless you do that, and we also quantified that which are the stretches in Yamuna as well as in Ganga, the tributaries of Ganga, which are losing water to the groundwater during the non-monsoon period, and we quantified that. So I think that's one aspect which we have to really consider and take actions, not at the level of Delhi, because Delhi also, the groundwater abstraction in Delhi, within Delhi, is so much that the river Yamuna is losing water during the lean flow season. See, the monsoon period, nobody bothers because that is a surplus water. The problem comes during the non-monsoon period. Whatever flow is there in the Yamuna, if that also goes back into the groundwater flows in the manner which is a reversal of the natural flow, then it has to be taken up and it has to be tackled appropriately. So there's one aspect which I think we have to understand, that when we talk of rejuvenation of the rivers, this is the major aspect which has to be tackled. Now coming to the stretch of Yamuna, I fully agree with Professor Babu, and we were party to the whole discussion. Justice Satendra Kumar had given a beautiful order of the 13th January 2015, the Mali to Nirmal Yamuna. I can guarantee that if that order was implemented properly, the Yamuna would have been clean by now. See, the order says, and we had identified that there are 201 segments of natural drains in Delhi, which are all part of the old drainage system which was created by the nature. And we're not talking of the man-made drains. Now, these 201 drains, natural drains of Delhi, were identified. And the sewerage master plan, which was being formulated by the DJB at that time, we had discussion with the AECOM, which was the company which was formulating that plan. And at that time, they had said that it'll take 20 years for the plan to be implemented, and a lot of money, around 20,000 crores of rupees. And when we discussed with them, asked them why they are saying that it'll take that long, because nobody can wait for that long. They said the major reason is that we have unauthorized colonies, so many of them, around 1,500 of them, and they are bringing the sewage to the drains. And also, it'll be very difficult to put the sewer network, the sewerage network within those areas. So we said, fine, let's change our goal. From these unauthorized colonies, each one is a very compact area, and all the sewage which is generated within that area, because of the water being supplied now, it is coming under gravity and is coming out of the area at one or two locations at the most. So I asked the AECOM people that if your objective is to really trap that sewage as it comes out of the unauthorized colony and take it to the nearest sewer line, which you have designed already, then how much time it will take? And to our surprise, they said it'll take 3 years only instead of 20 years to implement that plan. And it'll take much less money, around 1/4 of the money, which they had initially asked for. So that is what Justice Satendra Kumar told them, that, okay, go ahead and implement this at least in half the Delhi, which is the Nazafgarh basin. And the DJB was supposed to implement that. The problem is that implementation has not been proper as per the order. They have just tapped wherever they felt like, and it has not been effective. Otherwise, if it was tapped in the manner in which was envisaged, I can guarantee that all the natural drains would have been free of the sewage. And we also was quite surprised to see that when the departments I think there are 11 departments in Delhi who are having the jurisdiction on the natural drains, which are supposed to only carry the storm water during the monsoon. Otherwise, they should be dry. But there is no drain in Delhi, which is the natural drain I'm talking of, which is not wet, and they all carry sewage throughout the year. So we had discussion on this, that if we really want to, is our objective to make the Yamuna stretch free of pollution, or the other mini Yamunas, which are these natural drains, they are equally important for us, for the society in Delhi, and they should have these drains also being clear of the sewage. And if this was done, then the desilting of these stormwater drains would have been much more effective, because they would have been dry during the non-monsoon period, and they wouldn't be carrying the sewage and not polluting the groundwater. That has not happened. And if these were free of sewage, then Yamuna is automatically free of sewage. So I think that is what has to be implemented. And that's the only way you can make Yamuna free of pollution. I fully agree with Justice Satendra Kumar that there are other pollution, the pollution coming from the effluent treatment plants, the industry, and the other wastes. They are all, it's possible to really check that. I think the main, and we have shown that in our study, which we have done recently on the water security of Delhi, we took an area in the basin, which is the Barapula basin, which is 1/3 of the whole Delhi. And we showcased that if you really want to address this issue of pollution, you have to first find out the hotspots. So we took the samples in the drains, in the natural drains. There are some drains which are carrying more concentrated sewage. There are others which are carrying less. So we said that you need to really identify the sources of pollution, and each drain has its own catchment area. So once you identify the drain which is bringing more sewage, then you can go within that area and find out which are the sources of pollution. And if you do that over a period, I can give you a guarantee that if you implement this order in the appropriate manner, in the next 2 years, Yamuna can be really free of the pollution, or it can be drastically reduced. So I think I fully agree that the intent is not there. The public participation can only come if they know what is the ground reality. We have to make them aware. And we have been, while doing our drainage master plan of Delhi, which I was leading, we also found some other things which I think is very important to understand in this August forum, that there are the public, even themselves, many a times, without realizing their actions, they create problems. I'll give you an example, that in our localities in Delhi, there is no locality where the street level stormwater drains are there. They are all destroyed. People wanted to make the ramps to take their car inside, and there's hardly any locality where you will find the stormwater drains in Delhi. So the question is where the rooftop water is going. The rooftop water is, when we analyzed the whole thing, we went to the various localities, we found that the rooftop water in these localities or in all the localities in Delhi is going into the sewer line. So every household has connected their rooftop water to the sewer line, which is not designed for that. So whenever the rain comes in Delhi, there is so much water which enters into the sewer line, which is not designed for, and they get surcharged. They are under pressure. And you might have found that at many locations, the sewage starts oozing out after pushing the manhole up. And that's where we are equally responsible for that kind of action, which we don't realize that we have done that. And with the result, the localities are not getting flooded with the storm water only, is flooded with the sewage water. So we have already showcased in many places that these are some of the things which have to be done. If you really want to ensure that the flooding doesn't take place, you have to desilt the drains in Delhi. But there is so much connivance at various levels. Nobody wants these kind of things to be becoming transparent. And I don't know how many people know that Delhi spends around 100 crore on desilting every year. And there are kilometers of stormwater drains, such a long length, where there's no access to the drain. So I don't know how they are doing the desilting, but the money is being claimed. There are issues of intent. There are issues of the transparency. There are issues which are technical issues, which we have been saying. But in the end, I think there has to be a mechanism where the public has to get involved after knowing that what are the things which are going wrong and what are the best solutions. I will request everybody to really go through that order of 2015, written by Justice Satwantara Kumar, and try to understand where we are flowing, where we are needing to put pressure in a concerted manner. And ultimately is your money. The money is available. I fully agree that there's no dearth of money. We are wasting so much money otherwise. So if we go with a concerted effort, and we have also gone to the extent of even showcasing to the NMCG, we had given them a portal as part of the project which I'm talking about, asking them to identify which actions are being taken by the DJB, so that we can understand that these are the actions which have been taken, and put the whole information on a GIS platform where you can know that at this location they have taken away this much sewage and taken to the STP, but there has to be a corresponding impact on the downstream side. So are we observing the data? Are we looking at the money which has been spent by the DJB or any other similar organization and taking up these issues? What is the outcome? So we have to really start evaluating the outcome. And this is a slow process. It will take some time, but it has to be done in a very systematic manner. So I will stop by saying that yes, it's doable. All the actions which are being suggested, whether it's a wetland, and making the wetlands or having the recharge done, but it has to be done in a very scientific manner with a full analysis that how much is the effort required to quantify those efforts. If there is an abstraction of the groundwater, how it has to be checked, what are the options available with the farmers. So is a very huge task, which we have been doing various kinds of work, not only at the local level, but at the basin levels also. But the pickup of all those analysis and the action which is required on the ground is missing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you much.
Actually, the points I think you have raised very briefly, the issues of intent, the issues of transparency, and the issues of technology. I think that's very critical. And then, of course, it has to be, that's why we called it a citizens dialogue, because, you can't leave everything to the government of the day. Because, I mean, as we have seen, nothing much is happening. I'm sorry about it. But thank you very much. So we'll now go to Reena Mahajan, who's joining us from Paris. Reena, can you come in, please? Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Porkar. Hello, everybody. Namaste. I'm an architect and urban planner. So I'm actually from Delhi and I'm based in Paris. Do you hear me well?
Yeah, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So, and I'm also an advocate for walking and cycling and people-centered cities and nature-positive cities. I have my independent consultancy. It's called Studio Diversity. Let me just share my screen very quickly. Let me just put it on. There you go. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you see the progression of the slides? Yeah, okay. Okay. So like many of you, I grew up in Delhi and I must say that I hardly knew or know the Yamuna. And now when I see these images, of toxic foam, of course, I am appalled and outraged and sad, and I don't think it's just pollution. It's really a symptom of our total complete disconnect with the river and with nature. So I believe, as I have heard all of you speak, that the stretch of Yamuna and Delhi is just 2% of its length, and yet it carries 80% of pollution. So why does this happen? Because upstream we have the dams that restrict the water flow to Delhi, and then post-monsoon, we know that the river just becomes like a sewage canal with absolutely no dilution capacity. This is what I have understood. So the bare minimum, and which is absolutely urgent, and it goes without saying, is that there has to be complete industrial accountability, and this can be done through through political will and also real-time monitoring, to mandate these sensors at the outlets with penalties, for violation, and there should be zero tolerance for these kinds of things, and also zero liquid discharge from textile companies, other industrial waste, pharmaceutical waste, etc. Anyway, I don't live in Delhi, and I am not an expert on the Yamuna, and I'm not a technical expert, who can really explain how to clean this toxic mess. But I would like to share a vision that is not just possible, but that has happened elsewhere and that is happening in many other places in the world. So this is Chicago River a century ago. It was essentially an open sewer. It was used for shipping, but it was also used for dumping waste. And the banks, they were hardened with concrete, and they completely cut it off from its natural floodplain habitat. So that's quite a grim picture, I would say. And so you fast forward today, and it's the same river, but a completely different story. And through decades long effort, Chicago has rewilded its river. And they have reversed its flow, they have cleaned up the water, they have restored the riverbanks. And now you have native plants, wildlife, public access, and spaces to enjoy the river. And so this is called the wild mile, river rewilding. It's one of the most probably one of the most popular examples of river rewilding, where you see the city and the river in a completely new way. And so rivers can be revived and they can be reimagined. So what is rewilding? So rewilding is just letting a river be a river again, helping it kind of remember what it used to be. So this is in China. This is Turinscape, Kong Jian Yu, who is the inventor of the sponge city concept. So this is the sort of revolution that he came up with, and that is like all over the world. Now people are talking about these sponge cities. So what is rewilding and sponge cities? So you don't think of the river as straight. So everything that you think straight, hard, gray, you make it meandering, green, and you remove these barriers and concrete channels and allow the water to meander again, reconnecting it to its wetlands and bring back these native plants, animals. And it's not just making it look natural, it's really making the river function naturally, which means you have to accept a certain amount of messiness. You have to trust the nature. We have to start trusting nature more than engineering. And just a word of warning, this is the opposite of beautification. So I know that today beautification is a very popular trend. Beautification often, when I hear this term, and I see lots of beautification projects in India. So we have these pretty walkways, we have decorative lights, but the rivers and the lakes, they are still trapped in concrete. Rewilding means being a bit more messy. And so, how does rewilding fix the river's problems? So, it can help restore the river's natural flow. So, for example, today, if the Yamuna's natural flow is disrupted by dams, barrages, these can be addressed through rewilding and removing or modifying some of these barriers. Natural filtration. So, rewilding also means bringing back wetlands, which act as natural kidneys. They filter pollutants, they soak up the excess nutrients, they trap the sediment, and they break down the toxins. Floodplain restoration as well. So we need to start shifting from converting the river as the river gets developed, and as you will see development projects coming up, and the river is going to become like a channel, and it already must be the case in certain parts of the river. So we have to move away from this mentality and give the river this room to breathe as it is supposed to, without having these walls. And of course, it helps in flood mitigation, as someone very rightly explained earlier on in the conference, that you have to allow the river to swell and shrink as through that biodiversity park. And then it addresses pollution. So rewilding focuses on these natural processes. So you reduce the pollution because you enhance the river's natural ability to clean itself through natural filtration. And the best part is, and I think a very important part is, that rewilding is also, or should be also, about empowering the communities. We have seen time and again that riverside communities, they have an indigenous understanding about the nature that they coexist with. And so if farmers can be supported in and their livelihoods be recognized, then I think there is a chance to make the river sustainable. So you take the example of Thalangana. This is in Colombo in Sri Lanka. So this used to be a completely garbage-filled wetland that was transformed into a thriving ecosystem 15 years ago. So today you have rice paddies that are fed with urban wastewater. And it used to be filthy. It used to have rotting garbage. How did they do it? So the community came together. They formed something called a wetland watch. So they organized themselves. The residents organized themselves. They helped sort the waste. They sent it off to the municipality for recycling, weekly collection, and they piled up all the waste. There was a collection unit. And today, the result is that you have reduced flooding by 30%, and they have created livelihoods for farmers, so more than 500 farmers. And also it's a circular design. So you're using this very nutrient-rich urban wastewater, and you're using it to irrigate the crops, rice and fish, and you're also simultaneously filtering the pollutants. So looking at agriculture as one of the dedicated uses of the riverbanks is really worth considering. And it's also worth considering the integration of urban wastewater in agriculture, as I just explained. So the farmers, they are important stakeholders for rivers, and they can be trained also to monitor the pollution using the sensors, and they'll do it because it's important for them. So what ends up happening is that government orders, they don't work when it's just one way. So when you have a top-down process, if it doesn't meet a bottom-up process or bottom-up initiatives, then you don't have that sweet spot for success. And I'd like to briefly also just touch upon the topic of the STPs or the sewage treatment plants. Of course, it's very important to treat sewage, of course, but there is an alternative to centralized sewage treatment plants that consume a lot of energy. And, should we keep on building bigger and bigger plants and then take all the water far away and then pump it back? Or should we consider a different way of treating our wastewater? First and foremost, we need to reduce it. So we need to recycle the water as much as possible. So reduce this wastewater at the source. And once we've reduced it, we have to consider decentralized systems that are low energy, low cost, and often, like with constructed wetlands and things like that. So that's about that. And now I'd just like to give an example of a workshop that I did recently in Hyderabad. And I'd like to explain, we came with our methodology, we really thought about exactly what is a river. The reason I'm saying this is because we have forgotten, sometimes we forget that a river is not just a corridor, but a river is an entire ecosystem. Now, this workshop in Hyderabad, it was on the Musi riverfront project with the state of Telangana and and an international NGO that's called Les Ateliers. So I was doing the moderation of the workshop for them. They do interdisciplinary urban dialogues, and they organize workshops all over the world where you have experts from all over the world who work on a given topic with the local authority. So in this case, the local authority was the government of Telangana. And the theme of the workshop was to work on the Musi Riverfront Rejuvenation or Development Project, which I'm sure you all know about because it's very much in the news. Now, the Musi also is one of the most, one of the most polluted rivers in the world, and they have decided, okay, they are going to clean the river, but they are only talking about or at least they were talking about the river corridor, So when we got to work, our thought process was such that, okay, it's a 55-kilometer river, and we are being told to look at this stretch of river. But then a river is actually much more than that. A river is an ecosystem that includes the reservoirs that are upstream. It includes the floodplains that are downstream. It includes all the nalas or the stormwater drains that feed the river, so the entire watershed. It includes all the lakes, an extremely sophisticated system, engineered system of a slope-based water management system, cascading system of lakes that you have in Hyderabad. It used to be the city of lakes. It includes all of this, and all of this is the river. Also the step wells, and including the STPs. And so for the river to be rejuvenated, this entire interconnected system has to be rejuvenated, because the river will only thrive if all of its lifelines are thriving. And so this is something I think that is fundamental for us to understand. And when we came to this understanding, we requested to rename the Musi Riverfront Rejuvenation and Development Project to the Musi River Ecosystem Project or Ecosystem Restoration Project. So there is a difference in how we see the river, seeing the river not just as the river, but as the entire city, as the entire ecosystem. And so this was the crux of the workshop, and this is the message that I would like to convey today, that to save the river, we have to save the entire watershed, I believe. And one other way of looking at water systems is to kind of imagine, just like do an experiment to break it down a little bit. So Hyderabad has an important water heritage because it used to be called the City of Lakes and has all these lakes. So fine. So if we look at the natural water heritage, you have the ecological heritage of surface water, and then you have the groundwater, so the rivers and the lakes, but also the groundwater. As Mr. Gosain explained a few minutes ago, that it's all related. If your groundwater is depleted, you cannot have a flowing river. So, and then you have all of which is man-made. So, the infrastructure, the dams, the other constructed lakes that we have in the city. And then you have the step wells that also form a part of this ecosystem of the river. And finally, you have the intangible. And I think this is something also that we must remember is the socio-cultural and spiritual heritage, that all the community life that takes place around water bodies that today we have completely, that we have lost in a way. And also the realm of the digital that you cannot see, which means that today in India, we really have this is an asset that we have today, that we have digital tools, we have access to cheap digital tools to offer cost effective and efficient decentralized solutions, for example sensors, all sorts of things that can allow for a certain transparency to monitor the water levels, to monitor the pollution levels, and the community can act as environmental stewards. And so that's really something to consider, especially in India. So that's all I have. I would just like to say to conclude that I think the most important thing that I think is necessary is to really fix our relationship with nature and with water, and that we need to treat the river as a living ecosystem, not just as a river, not just a river, but also our relationship with nature. Because I don't think we can care about a river if we don't care about our public spaces. If we look at what is outside our home and we just are happy to have it as traffic sewers, and if we are happy to have all our water channeled in stormwater drains, then how can we have a connection with river? In an alternative reality, there would be ecological corridors they're walking paths that would connect every neighborhood to the river, where the river is not turned its back to the city. And I think perhaps it's even worth considering granting a sort of legal personhood to the Yamuna and recognizing the river and the nature's rights as living entities, just like we would for individuals. Thank you.
Thank you, Reena, for that. I think the major takeaway from your presentation is that we should rechristen what we are doing today as the citizens' dialogue for the rejuvenation of the river ecosystem of Yamuna. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
To our last speaker before we have open the discussion to the House, Professor Ram Kumar. Can you come on, sir? Professor Ram Kumar?
Yeah, good evening, sir. Am I audible? Good evening, sir. Honorable Justice
Go ahead.
Swatantra Kumar. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Okay. Honorable Justice Swatantra Kumar, Professor Pentel, my teacher, Professor Babu, distinguished guest, and I thank this group, India International Center, and the Citizens Green Circle for this dialogue. And this is wonderful dialogue where we come to some conclusion that what to do to rejuvenate River Yamuna. The question is, why should we do this? And what is the status of the River Yamuna? It is only 22 kilometer stretch in Delhi, but Delhi stretch of Yamuna is unique. When this Yamuna enters Delhi, immediately after that, Western Yamuna Canal discharge its content. And when it reaches to Wazirabad, we extract water to support this drinking water to Delhi population. And few meters later, what we do, simply this Najafgarh drain discharge its content and it becomes polluted, and then again too many discharge drains coming from both sides and polluting the river Yamuna. When we reach to Kudasiya Ghat, it becomes, from there itself it starts stinking. No longer we can say that this is river or health of the river ecosystem is maintained. I don't know, still we are saying degraded, but even it's going lower than ecological degradation. And what we say, river and Yamuna, and it is lifeline for Delhi, that has become something that we cannot stand there for 5 minutes along the bank. I would request if some people should go near that Sarai Kale Khan and that bridge or road, you stand and see the condition of the river Yamuna. And the problem, what this happened and why this happened. And only 30 years ago, condition was different. It was relatively better. We used to get life forms from near that ITO also. we sometimes we get life form in Kudasya Ghat, and even later, Okhla, of course, a little bit improved. Now, the reason why and what was the condition 30 years ago, it was, I have a couple of photographs only I would like to show. Share. First one. Yeah. You see these photographs, two photographs of River Yamuna. This is between 93 and 95. One place here we are getting sampling. This is Ramghat, and anyone can go there and see these banks have been fixed, concretization, temples are there. You cannot see this kind of bank and this kind of water there. And this sampling is done near Majnu Ka Tila. And there it was fishery department office. I remember still we used to hire boat and used to do sampling there. And we used to get lots of good zooplankton, phytoplankton, and many other benthic organisms. Today, it's not that. Today, we go there and see the condition, it's completely different. And no longer we say that the Yamuna might support any phytoplankton except some nuisance species which are adapted to thrive in polluted condition, nothing else. Why this is happening and what to do? The lot of things discussion told. I was impressed with Miss Rina Mahajan, who presented this ecosystem river as it's not like a river, like a low-tech flow, an engineer can solve the problem. We have to see its internal immune system, or what we call resilience ability of the river. How can it be not only restored, but after restoration, it can maintain its health. It has unique, all rivers have unique potential to rejuvenate itself, to purify itself, and go to natural condition. But how long and to what extent? Particularly Delhi, as I said, situation is completely different. And in Delhi again, and other part of India, Indian river also, we have situation is different. Here, suppose STPs, we see lot of STPs we do, but that will not solve the problem because sources are diverse and diffused. Here, only points, river or this pollutants are not discharged only through point source, but diverse sources it is being discharged. You see people throw things, people dump, open defecation, cattle bathing, all these things are going on. And things beyond our control, percolation, seepage of those minerals, fertilizers, pesticides to river Yamuna. Those we cannot check. Then question, what is the solution? We have to think the river as an ecosystem, health. And when we consider river ecosystem as river health, and our health kind of thing, we need some breathing space. Always we need something to swell. And what in case of river ecology, we call flood pulse concept. Flood pulse concept is lateral swelling of the river, and that floodplain around that, what is not only lateral, we discussed some lateral swelling, but it is also working for hyporheic concept, we say, or we say vertical and mixing of water. That at least percolation, these days we know very much that percolation taking place, but it is upward movement also. Many organisms during night time, evening time, it comes up, and this morning or daytime it goes down. That helps in purification ability of the region. Other way, macrobenthos, miobenthos, these groups, as we are familiar with earthworm for land agriculture, like it is a natural engineer keystone species, and it rejuvenate land fertility. Exactly same benthic organisms, it rejuvenate and helps resilience property of the river. The thing is, how can it be restored? First point. Second point, river, should we consider life form in the river? Yes. And as Honorable Justice rightly said, that we have to consider this life form, river, and our Indian heritage. We have a rich heritage of the this river, water quality maintenance. And our heritage says in Rigvedic time only life form, aquatic life should be maintained. It clearly says apa pranita bheshajam varutham. Apa pranita, it says aquatic life. And not only water, what we consider, but aquatic life should be conserved and cared for restoration of, they call human health, but for restoration of the river and ecosystem. And also, Delhi, equally as Hyderabad, their ponds and water, Delhi also, it has all around both sides of Yamuna bank, we see ponds, lakes, small ponds, puddles, crisscrossed. But people have degraded, reclaimed, land filling has been done, and those are the reason of expedited, faster degradation of the river. We start from unpolluted site like we say Palla, there we Palla to Okhla. When we go, you see Lake Bhalesba. Then of course we have biodiversity park doing wonderful job there. We have they have these lakes, and those are natural filters or STP, natural STPs, where you can see that sewage going there and how it is pure water that visibly can be seen, that what kind of this natural their wetland is working. I have seen only few, I think 2 months ago with NCRT people, I visited their sites and I have seen this physically. I mean, without any chemistry, without any science, you can see the watercolor that how it has been cleaned because of the natural engineers, I would say. And without this lateral swelling, we will not be able to restore the river for long-term or sustainable basis. For short term, we can say we can show clean water. We can do both fixation, bank fixation both side. River, this whatever riverfront development we do, we can show people, but long-term basis, it will not be sustainable. Sustainable. When riverfront development comes, the beautiful example is Yangtze River in China. You see Beijing, Guangzhou, all these things, beautiful cities along that river till East China Sea, till confluence. I have visited the place. I have seen beautiful river, beautiful road, and what I have not seen, what we can see here in our Ganga is dolphin. They used to have dolphin, beautiful river, but why did they lose dolphin? Question is that. And here in river Yamuna, I would say I have, since 93, I have data on benthic invertebrate, on many organisms. Now, after Khyber Pass, we get hardly a tubifex among benthic species. We get some chironomid. And recently, we reported some invasive mollusk called Hytia mexicana. That much we find, nothing else we find. Whereas we used to get any given time, we used to get 40, 50 species in 90s. And those natural engineers are not existing, then doing our external things or STPs will serve the purpose when rivers, its own immune system will not work. How long we can survive on our oxygen, this artificial synthetic oxygen? This is the question. And both sides of the river, as we say, lakes and ponds, that should also be rejuvenated. Natural lakes, like you see, all the way from Bhalesba start to Sanjay Lake, Mayur Vihar, Mayapuri Lake, all these lakes, there are a couple of lakes in what's called Prasaran near Saraikale. All these ponds, they were playing very important role in rejuvenation of the river. And also because we are trying rainwater, protect rainwater, conserve rainwater, store rainwater, but when we do bank fixation, when we don't allow these water to percolate or to stay for some time on these lands, then this will again we push this towards ocean. And this is big problem of fresh water going to ocean. In our again our national heritage, it's clearly mentioned Brishti Jalam Shushodhitam Rakshitam Parirakshitam Yasyadati Sagare Tarhi Sankatam Sukalpi. If it goes to the sea, imagine the problem we will have to face. Tarhi Sankatam Sukalpitam. And this is the issue which we'll have to face. My submission, or I urge people, government also. Of course, in India, we have very good policy. I say one of the best policy, but poor implementation. and by the people like we, common citizen, poor interpretation also. So we can interpret our own way and we can decide. So how to do things, this is very important. Riverfront, we can manage,
Ramkumar,
but
yeah, can you just kindly wind up now because we're running out?
but my submission, yes, sir, sure. So, but my submission is riverfront we can have, but not only that, because of this climate change, glacier melting, more frequent these extreme events, we will not be able to face, or our river will not be able to face these things and act as buffer to protect us from this. Therefore, I would suggest that both sides, at least both embankment, we need floodplain, and floodplain, if that can be developed like biodiversity park, will be very, very wonderful. A series of biodiversity park that will help in rejuvenation of river, that will help, and that will help in treating sewage, and also definitely it will help in increasing or sustainability of the restored river. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
very much. Thank you for that overview. Before we open it to the House, there's just three brief interventions which we will have from three discussants, Ashok Mandal, Rajendra Ravi, and Yogita Shukla. So can you just start, please, Ashok Mandal? Just very briefly.
Yeah. Distinguished panelists, distinguished guests, and of course, Justice Satantra Kumar. It was so nice to meet you and hear you today. I will not take much time, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, if I can finish that. We are talking about rejuvenation of River Yamuna. First of all, because see, I'm an engineer, a civil engineer, and a management graduate also, and I graduated some 45 years ago. So there is a thing called in civil engineering called source and the sink, right? What has happened is all our sources, we have turned Yamuna as the sink, unfortunately. So we have already talked that nearly 50% of the sewage and other this thing are untreated going into the river. There is no intervention, there is no talk. Other, all the other garbage, we have already spoken. And there have been talks, there have been optics about, how the Yamuna can be cleaned and, superficially. That will not happen, okay? I saw a news item on 4th of April where 50 years plan for water for Delhi. It talked about only monetizing River Yamuna. There's no talk of how to recharge. How to recharge. It only talked about spend. I went through the article again and again. Is there anywhere it is being talked how to recharge? No. Okay, it's only about spend. Just for your kind information, in Delhi, about 20% of the potable water is sourced from ground. Last government had said that they will increase this to 30% or whatever. And that is why obviously digging bore wells, right? Now, when you do that, I mean, we are trying not to pressurize River Yamuna, trying to use water, which is rain, for our uses, right? So there comes the conservation that's called rainwater harvesting, right? So if we don't want to, challenge the river again and again for, taking out only, use only, this is one of the best solution to me that we can look into. Giving you an example, in our colony, we did a rainwater harvesting system some 20 years ago. Water table from 60 feet, it is now 27 feet. Okay. And I am supervising every year the work, and I only did it. Coming back, last year, there was huge shortage of water, piped water. So one of our big park completely dried. Problem is that when you are suffering from drinking water, how do you service these requirements? The only way you can do it is to take out water from ground and use it. So that is possible only if it's like a bank. You store and then you can use it. If you don't, you cannot. We have one park which is using the groundwater. We have been chasing with the government, MLA, councillor, everyone to put a unit, borewell, as well as a pump, so that this summer, again, this problem doesn't happen, and we don't pressurize the Yamuna water, which is otherwise to be used for drinking purposes and other things. So this is things that, and by the way, that project got Chief Minister Award in 2004. With Sheila Dikshit ji was the Chief Minister at that time. So going back, the rejuvenation is one part about Yamuna when you're talking about how not to keep on monetizing Yamuna and how we can resource the whatever we can do at our end, at citizens' end, at government's end, with in this kind of proactive actions that will give a long way for the life that is Yamuna. Thank you so much. Thank you.
शुक्रिया सुभाष भाई, बहुत सारी बातें आ गई है और मैं 2 मिनट में अपनी बात रखना चाहूँगा कि अभी पूरे भारत में रिवर फ्रंट का एक नया फैशन शुरू हुआ है और संजोग से यह रिवर फ्रंट का भी जो उद्गमन क्षेत्र है वो साबरमती है। तो जो नदियों के किनारे, नदियों के आसपास जो हमारे रिसोर्स हुआ करते थे, वो रिसोर्स बिकम रियल एस्टेट। तो जो भी वाकिफ़ हैं, साबरमती नदी के किनारे गए हैं, वहाँ पे देखेंगे कि अब रियल एस्टेट काफ़ी फल फूल गया है। अब जो हमारे रिसोर्सेज हैं, ज़मीन है, पानी है, रेत है, मछलियाँ हैं और बहुत सारी कम्युनिटी रहते हैं। उनका एक परंपरागत ज्ञान है, वो खेती करते हैं, मच्छी पालन करते हैं, जो गोताखोर कम्युनिटी है और जो बोट चलाते हैं। ये सब अब उससे ये जो नया जो कंस्ट्रक्शन हो रहा है या जो नदी को बचाने के नाम पे जो नए प्रोजेक्ट आ रहे हैं और ये कोर्ट के जो ऑर्डर हैं उसका इस्तेमाल करके भी आ रहा है। इसमें पैसे लग रहे हैं खूब, लेकिन जो होना चाहिए वो नहीं हो रहा है। एक पूरी की पूरी जो हमारा ज्ञान तंत्र है वो ख़त्म हो रहा है और हम सिर्फ इंजीनियरिंग और तकनीक पे उसको हम साफ करना चाहते हैं। अब इसका जो बेनिफिट जो तबका है वो इसके लिए ताली बजाता है और जो उसके किनारे जो कम्युनिटी रहते थे वो उनके अपने ज्ञान से बाहर निकल के कोई लूजर है वो। और अब जो नया तत्व उसमें शामिल हुआ है कि नदी के किनारे के जो रिसोर्सेज हैं उसको मोनेटाइज कैसे किया जाए, जो कि नया शुरू हुआ है कि जितने भी रिवर फ्रंट के किनारे जो बन रहे हैं उसमें आपको पैसा देना पड़ेगा। तो एक्सेस जो लोगों के नदी से होता था, जो जस्टिस स्वतंत्र जी ने कहा कि लोग को अवेयर होना चाहिए, अब तो लोग ही नहीं रहेंगे वहाँ, क्योंकि जो पे करेगा वही यूज करेगा। वैसे भी नदी की जमुना के बारे में आप किसी से भी पूछिए, वो कहेंगे कि जमुना में पानी जहरीला है। किसी को यह नहीं पता है कि वजीराबाद के ऊपर भी जमुना है जहाँ थोड़ा सा पानी साफ होता है। और इसको जो हमारी एक वक्ता ने कहा कि जब तक हम रिवर का पूरा इकोसिस्टम को नहीं ठीक करेंगे तब तक नदी कभी साफ नहीं हो सकती। मैं एक छोटा सा उदाहरण देकर समाप्त करूंगा कि जिसे हम नजफगढ़ नाला कहते हैं, दरअसल वो साहबी नदी थी और साहबी नदी में 78 के आसपास बाढ़ आई थी जो कि जनकपुरी वगैरह को डुबा के गई थी। तो उस समय की हरियाणा सरकार और दिल्ली सरकार ने मसानी बराज बनाया। मसानी बराज तो बन गया लेकिन ऊपर से जो फ्लो है वो नहीं आता है। तो मसानी से लेकर के नजफगढ़ झील तक आपको कहीं पानी नहीं मिलेगा। नदी पे रियल एस्टेट बन गया है। और अभी जो एनजीटी ने ऑर्डर दिया है जिसमें कि 4 राज्यों को एक साथ बैठाने की कोशिश की है, हरियाणा, उत्तर प्रदेश, दिल्ली और राजस्थान। दिल्ली के पास तो कुछ साफ करने के दिखाने के लिए कुछ हैं, कि हम साहवी नदी को साफ कर रहे हैं, लेकिन वो उसमें कोई साफ करने का तंत्र कहीं दिखता नहीं। नदी साफ नहीं हो रही है, बल्कि सिर्फ गाद निकाल रहे हैं, प्लास्टिक के थैले निकाल रहे हैं, और बीच बीच में जो उपराज्यपाल है उस पर घूम करके और चले आते हैं। तो और कहा जाता है कि जो 60% यमुना का पॉल्यूशन है वो उसी के नाम से है, उसी से आता है, नजफगढ़ नाला से। अब उसके लिए क्या किया है कि उन्होंने गूगल वालों से या कोई भी जो डिजिटल मैप है उनको कहा है कि अब इसको आप ये ना दिखाइए कि नजफगढ़ नाला है, उसको जब भी आप सर्च करेंगे तो दिखेगा साहिबी नदी। तो नाम बदल दीजिए, चेहरा बदल दीजिए, लेकिन उसका जो चरित्र है वो नहीं बदलेगा। और कई साथियों ने बताया कि आप उस नदी में, जिस नदी के पास खड़े नहीं हो सकते, आप सांस नहीं ले सकते, उसमें बोट कैसे चल सकता है। तो अभी और दूसरा कि इसमें हेरिटेज को कैसे एक खास किस्म के संप्रदाय में बदलने का है। कुदसिया घाट को रिवर फ्रंट बनाया गया है, अब उसका नाम हो गया है वासुदेव घाट। तो 11 घाट बनने वाले हैं जिसको रिवर फ्रंट, और एनजीटी से बचने के लिए वो ये कह रहे हैं कि हम वहाँ वॉकवे बना रहे हैं, रिवर फ्रंट नहीं बना रहे हैं। तो आप देखेंगे कि एक अलग अलग बनेगा और फिर उसको ज्वाइन कर देंगे। तो ये कैसे हम कोर्ट के ऑर्डर को बाईपास करके और हम रिसोर्सेज को अप्रोप्रिएट कर देंगे रियल एस्टेट में। शुक्रिया।
Thank you so much for this discussion on river rejuvenation. And it's been very insightful getting perspective from different people and all the respected panelists. I would just like to add a bit of what I could understand through all my years of in vegetation and remote sensing science. So in nature, everything is an integrated ecosystem. So we have talked about all these things. We have talked about hydrology, we have talked about biodiversity, then we have talked about water and wastewater treatment. We need to integrate all these aspects when we are talking about rejuvenating the river. And the other thing is that we have to look at it from a catchment perspective. So catchment, where the water comes from the forest and the biodiversity, which enriches both the aquifers and the groundwater and the surface water. And at the same time, we also have to understand that the wastewater which we are pouring into the river, along with the storm water, so the water which is coming from the urban areas, whether it is the storm water or the sewage water, which also further needs a distinction as a gray water and black water. So we have to consider all these aspects, how we are putting the water back into the river and how the river rejuvenation or natural recharge of the river is happening from both the sides. And again, it has to be both the top down and the bottom up approach. So we as a citizens, with tools available, open source tools from satellite images and technologies using GIS, we can use that as a data, because at the end of the data, we need data to put our case into. So we have to build those data sets in a public forum where we can, if we have to talk about it, we talk with that data. And that data right now, it is available, open source data is available, and we can use that open source data to build our case.
Thank you. Now, just a minute. Can I ask Fiaz to come here, come up? That where last time on the 5th of June, at this very hall, we had a meeting on saving the river. And then at that meeting, it was pointed out that there were some government agencies which were throwing malba and recreating an area. What is the exact position now? What is the position now on that area? Can you just tell us? Please take the mic.
Actually, sir, while traveling, I had seen that near Shastri Park, the active floodplain was filled up. Still, one can see it's a huge area. And probably I had seen some board of police police department, some police department, but that is a Gadimandu area active floodplain. And it's a very dangerous to see that if flood comes like 2023, how that water will be accommodated and where that water will go. So that
The thing still is the same. There's nothing, it has not been removed or anything. No, that's the tragedy. You see, the government itself is playing havoc with anyway. So we'll now open the discussion to the floor. Yeah, go ahead. Come, take the mic. Just introduce yourself. Yeah, take your seat, please.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Shalini Singh. I'm a journalist and a co-founder of the People's Archive of Rural India, which is a multimedia repository on 70% of our country. Just before the pandemic, I had researched and reported on climate change in Delhi from the lived experiences of the most vulnerable communities of the Yamuna, which is the farmers and the fisher folk. And during the course of my research, I found that, and this is conservative estimates, between rupees 1,514 crores to rupees 3,100 crores has already been spent since 1993 on cleaning the Yamuna. And one of the farmer representatives asked me when I was interviewing him that if so much money has already been spent on cleaning the Yamuna, why isn't the river clean today? Where is the money gone? So my question is, and this year the government has announced 500 crores in the budget to clean the Yamuna. So my question to any of the experts in the room is that, would you like to speculate on the quantum of this amount, and how do you feel that this money might be used in cleaning the river, if at all?
Justice Kumar ji, can court take a contempt against government like Haryana, the way it started polluting from Haryana itself? So what is the procedure to take contempt for this issue?
Yeah, sorry. My name is Bhim Singh Rao, and I have been part of Yamuna Ji Abhiyan, and presently I work for South Asia Network on Dams, River and People. I have been closely monitoring the Yamuna River in Delhi and up and downstream of Delhi for past quite a decade. And no, lot of things have been said here, and I am quite agree with most of the things. And that the reviving the river is doable. We have to do it. It can be done. And I have many questions also to be asked to the NGT and then expert committee and other expert people. But I think we would not be having that much time. So only thing I would like to say here is that we are sitting here because of a historic NGT order of Malice in Nirmal Yamuna, which was delivered in 2015. And there were a lot of people, brilliant people behind that judgment. And there were many people who were active to get that order implemented, even the principal committee. So in past 6 and 7 years, what I feel, what we are missing is that now there is no collective action being done by the civil society to approach the NGT, the courts, to make the government system work, function better, like say the STPs, why our STPs are not working, what are the fundamental issues, how can we improve them, not just criticize them. And we can take several action at our level, personal level also. Then there are the person just talked about very important idea, which is rainwater harvesting. If we can harvest more and more rain, there are rainwater harvesting and treated sewage are the two biggest natural available resources to the Delhi. If we can utilize these resources, so we can reduce the amount of pollution reaching the river, and at the same time compensate the flows in the river by saving these amount of water. Yeah.
Is that okay?
No.
Quickly.
Yeah. I'm trying to know. Yeah. Then similarly, part of the Mr. Ravi Verma's no, just mentioned about the kind of affairs have been happening with the floodplain in Delhi. No, DDA is the in charge, is the helm of the floodplain affairs in Delhi, which is totally kind of real estate lobby, which has no intention, expertise, and accountability to rejuvenate or restore the floodplain. What it has been doing, it is just grabbing the floodplain land, commercializing it, and degrading the actual floodplain. In the NGT order, there was no part. The floodplain must be restored at the natural state. In the natural state, in the pristine state. They have been just using the word, we will revive, rejuvenate, restore, in tokenistic manner. On the ground, they have been doing quite opposite of it. You just visit the Vasudev Ghat, there has been, they poured in tons of concrete, developed scores of permanent construction work, and killed the river by rusted there. No, you visit to the river, close to the river shore, it is fully littered with the so many, solid waste, plastic waste, and there is a part of the river there where we can see, which was destroyed by the flood of 2023, where we can see, so many species of native grass, regenerated by river itself. We did nothing there. Neither the DDA nor the student, but the river itself revived that part of floodplain there. And there we can see the butterflies, the dragonflies, the spiders, the other insects. And in the DDA park, there is a green grass, there are concretes, and they are pampering that part of land by using the groundwater, and don't know why, whether they have any legal no permission to extract the groundwater to recharge that part of land, and they are no kind of organic waste they are getting from the park, they are just putting in the river. They are not, they have even no sense to kind of develop, turn it into a organic manure, right? And they have put a 50 rupee entry fees to the common citizens. Can a common citizen afford 50 rupee fees? They say that they will make the riverfront, these parks accessible to the common people. Is that happening? The part of land, they have a mark there. It was this much deep in the floodwater of July 2023. And all the others, they are so-called biodiversity park went under the floodwater. So and we don't have any information from the media how much money they have put in those efforts, and how much money has been lost. No, it is after all the public money, and we are not being told anything, right? And what to say about the NGT nowadays? No, the NGT is just kind of
Appreciate your pain. And I would like to pay my.
The conclusive point I want to make here, that what I feel that what we are missing a collective civil society action. So from this dialogue on rejuvenation of river Yamuna, can we reach to towards that direction? Can we form a group of active, aware citizens who can have advocacy, research on awareness work regarding this issue?
That is the whole idea. Actually, I just want to pay, we should have done that, pay tribute to Manoj Mishra ji. In fact, on the 5th of June, in 2013, he was here for a meeting we had organized on developing a vision for the development of Delhi's ecosystem. So I'm just saying that there are people like him who have, you are linked up with that same organization, aren't you?
Yeah, Manoj Mishra sir is no more, and I have.
That's why I'm paying my tribute. Yeah.
Yeah, may I, please? May I?
Track of the earlier asked questions. 500 crores is quite a bit of money. And I would like to make this small point, which Justice Swatantra Kumar can also react to. Whomsoever an STP plant is given has to run it for 10 years minimum. That company should run it. That will be their responsibility. Once you put these things under the control of general bureaucracy, it just doesn't work. So Najafgarh drain should be the first place to attack. And I think the plants can grow only in a given period of time. You cannot make plants grow quickly that within a year you can create a biodiversity park. So we should start with plantations or with the materials that we want to multiply by taking some money out of this 500 crores. The rest of the things I don't think can be worked upon right now. The farmers are going to overdraw the water in Haryana. They grow paddy. Paddy is a water guzzling crop. So there are a lot of complications. But let us start on these two fundamental things without which nothing will happen to Yamuna.
Mr. Booker, may I? Mr. Booker? This is my.
Yeah, just 1 minute, just 1 minute. But can we just, because we lose track then, yeah, just 1 second. We lose track. Can we just pick up on those questions which have already been put, and then we go to the next, we have a few minutes. So would you like to, any of the questions which have been raised, Justice?
One question, of course, is yours. The contempt jurisdiction is not specifically provided under the NGT Act, but courts have a power to issue contempt. Well, so it's a very expanding doctrine. So possibly somebody in NGT may take a view that yes, contempt lies. It's a very subjective kind of question. And secondly, of course, what she asked for about the money, it has been answered by him, but surely every one of us knows where the money goes. But certainly goes to Yamuna, and that's why Yamuna is what it is. So that's the third thing which I just want you to tell you, which is, of course, the gentleman having a lot of, well, I would leave it at that. But what I would say is that let's not forget that as citizens, we owe the maximum to the nature. Now I'll just give you two examples. There was an order that there'll be no vegetation and horticulture on the bank of River Yamuna because it contains a lot of pesticides, it contains pollutant, and it could be cancerous, and it was analyzed to be cancerous. Now still people feel buying vegetables lying on the bank of River Yamuna. Why should you do that? Why the people together don't take a decision that we will not buy any vegetables which are grown on the floodplain? Now there was a restriction. Don't raise construction on floodplain. Don't throw waste there. There was a fine for it. People still do it. Why should you always look for something that, okay, this is the offense, this is the body to punish, therefore he'll be punished, so he has the right. I'm just putting it in one simple line, the whole thing that we're talking about. The right to clean environment does not mean the right to pollute. That's the simple philosophy of environmental laws. You should understand your rights in a proper perspective.
May I?
Is there any intervention from the panelists? Just 1 second. Is there any, would anybody like to react to the first lot of questions, the 3 questions, quickly if, yeah, Professor Hussain? Yeah, please go ahead.
I think one issue which was coming up, somebody is suggesting that what kind of action is required to be taken. That is important because we cannot keep on discussing these things. So if you want to really start with some actionable agenda, I think the first and the foremost is that which is the core of the NGT order, that let's ensure that each stormwater drain is free of pollution. And to do that, we have to identify what are the sources of pollution, and that's where I feel that the civil society has to play a role. Is the source a punctured sewer line, which has been punctured by the DJB, and is still punctured for the last many, many years. It has never, as we had identified around 300 points where the puncturing was done, just to ensure that there's a relief given to some choked sewer line. But no action has been taken after that. So likewise, other sources of pollution, if we can do that and make this small drains clean of sewage, that can be a very first good initiative which can be taken. Thank you.
Yeah, Reena, do you have any point to come in at this stage?
Hello. No, maybe just that, just to add to what Mr. Gosen is saying. Yeah, so why not have, I don't know whether the water quality is tested. Are there sensors on the river? Do we know? Are we able to measure the pollution in the river? It's not that fancy, it's really simple to do that. I mean,
Fine. No, I mean, we have crossed that stage, actually. There's no point doing that. Yeah, Professor Ramkumar, a quick point, any point?
Yes, sir. My first thing is that the NGT decision about floodplain conservation should be maintained, should be implemented. And if there is construction work along the edge of the main channel river, that should be banned somehow.
Thank you. Now we'll go quickly to the second round. You have a question?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
please. Identify yourself.
I'm Dr. Prem Agrawal. We have got a small group with the name of Citizen Council on Yamuna. So we are a watch council. The issue which I want to highlight is that at 94 के अंदर Supreme Court ने sumo decision लिया था. उस समय uncontrolled population, uncontrolled urbanization, uncontrolled industrialization से ये यमुना खराब होती जा रही थी. और 20 साल बाद your lordship gave a landmark judgment in which I think जहाँ सुप्रीम कोर्ट को ये भी नहीं पता था क्या करना है, किसने करना है, कैसे करना है, कौन करेगा, एक्सपर्ट कमेटीज ये वो. लेकिन जब जज का जजमेंट आया उसके बाद तो सब कुछ क्रिस्टल क्लियर था. It was a judgment which was a landmark judgment telling you who to do it, when to do it, how to do it, and what to do it, and कैसे करना होगा. और उसके लिए कमेटी बनाई, एक कमेटी, दो कमेटी, यमुना पोल्यूशन कमेटी, ये कमेटी, वो कमेटी, वो नहीं चला. 23 में फिर एक कमेटी बनाई, हाई पावर कमेटी, वो कमेटी इसके चीफ सेक्रेटरी, जनरल सेक्रेटरी सब बन गए, तब भी नहीं बना कुछ. What was the lacking thing? Lacking thing was the political commitment. Political commitment was lacking, and that's the reason bureaucrats were very lax. And the judiciary repeatedly have got high commitment, but could not act against those bureaucrats, whatever reasons I may say, because they were trying to show that we are doing a lot, but they were not doing that. Recently, the citizens acted. They changed the popular government to a next popular government. Last government was punished on the issue of Yamuna, which is a very big thing which my mind. And I think it's a golden time today when a government has been punished for not acting on Yamuna and the new government is committed to act on government. And this action at time, this time, we should highlight. I mean, this is not a time for experts to, because experts have been speaking always, but experts has to speak again. But what orders have been given, what action has to be taken, is stop a small step, then let's complete those steps, and then we act upon further. The next order saying that what not to be done and what can be done. In this respect, the citizen people like your forum, yeah, my forum, anybody's forum, has to be party. They have to party in the court. I believe I'm saying that this particular NGT order is only bureaucrats and them. There is no third party saying that कि इसने काम नहीं किया, क्यों नहीं किया. एक कमेटी की मीटिंग, दो कमेटी की मीटिंग, 10 कमेटी, 10वीं कमेटी की मीटिंग 24 में हुई है, 24 दिसंबर में. That committee meeting is repeatedly again saying targets not met. That follows this.
No, thank you. That's the point you've raised. But the problem is that you are talking of punishing one government and another government. No, just 1 second. The point is that you see now if they go for a riverfront development, they are I mean finishing everything at that level, So that's very critical also. So if they in the process of resolving things, they are multiplying the problems, you see.
Right point for that will be the action plan. And the action plan is discussed not in this place, it's discussed in NGT. NGT they're only following the NGT orders. The spending money, like the young girl said, how the money will be spent. Money will be spent only on the implementation of NGT order. NGT order is so complex. आप पढ़िए उस order को जो सर ने लिखा है, जो बातें लिखी गई है, उसमें definitely 1, 2, 3, 4. Who will do it? How he will do it? Till when they will do it? जो खत्म होगा तो अगली बात की जाएगी. अगर हमको जाना है, आपने जाना है, you want to be active. I would like to do that. I would like to become a leading person in NGT and stand there and say that this should not be done, and that get an order for that. Because saying to me, whom I'll say, जल मंत्री वहाँ का national government का या जल मंत्री यहाँ का?
This one. Yes. Are we saying that there is already a document which Justice Satendra Kumar was also involved with, which shows the way?
Yes.
That's
100%.
Now, some of us have not read it. The first thing we need to do is
Please, Yamuna action plan. Yes, and directed by the order of the NGT. So Satendra Kumar sir may reply this, reinforce this, that everything what has to be done, who to do it, when to do it, and the high power committee is meticulously made of those people who are responsible. And somewhere, sir said contemptuous use of it, but I'm sure that I've read it that someplace even NGT has said that if they don't perform, they will be punished. They will not punish the contemptuous.
Are you saying that we should go for litigation?
We should be a party in that action plan with the NGT. And the number of the citizen council should be there. I will be there. You should also be there. We together should be there and say that the action plan is there.
Giving me this. My name is Bikram Sajwan. I was privileged to be on the bench with Justice Satendra Kumar, and we heard Yamuna from 2013, almost 13 onwards till his tenure ended in 2017. My tenure also was co-terminus with him. Later, of course, I was associated with he was criticizing committees. I was, in a committee, monitoring committee appointed by NGT to monitor the directions that the bench had given. So anyway, that's the part of the history. But I just want to make a few points. One point I want to make is it's critical for a river to have fresh water. Minimum environmental flow we have been talking about. There are 1994 agreement between the states, riparian states, to give 10 cubics of environmental flow. Subsequently, a study was done through the National Institute of Hydrology, Roorkee, where they said 23 cubics must be the minimum environmental flow. This study was funded by Government of India. Now, at this stage, Government of India must at least as a first stage notify that as a minimum environmental flow that must be available in the river. Unless a river has fresh water, how will it be revived? Because downstream of Wazirabad, there is zero fresh water flow. So downstream of Wazirabad, it's only sewage and sewage and sewage. Almost 4,000 million liters MLDs of sewage comes in through 22 drains that flow into Yamuna, and all that is sewage. There is no fresh water. So one thing is that Government of India must we must press on Government of India through citizens movement that a study which they funded, and the study finding is that 23 cubics that must be notified and steps should be taken, if not immediate, but in a phased manner to achieve that minimum environmental flow. Unless that is done, I think it is difficult to revive the river. Second is that there is an agreement of 1994 between the riparian state where water sharing arrangement at Athani Kund. That is due for revision in 2025. This year, I think it's a time that when the agreement is revised, the environmental flow aspect is attended to. So third aspect is that it is not just the question of basin states being responsible for various the river rejuvenation, but also it is critical that the basin states like particularly Haryana and UP are involved in all the activities and all the rejuvenation activities that is done for Haryana. Because you must remember almost 20 to 25% of the sewage and industrial effluent into Yamuna River in Delhi comes from Haryana. So unless Haryana is on board, nothing that you will do in Delhi will achieve the results that you want to. UP also contributes substantially through Sadhara drain. That is the third largest drain which contributes to the river pollution. So unless these states are on board, I think you will not be able to achieve this objective sitting in Delhi alone and talking only of Delhi. And I think this is the best time, politically speaking, that all these, UP, Haryana, Delhi, and central government are of the same political dispensation, and this is the best time to therefore revive Yamuna if we want to. Because if we don't do it today, I think it will be very difficult in future. On the riverfront, I just want to say there is a 2016 notification of Government of India which said 100 years flood, 1 in 100 years flood should be the floodplain, available to the river. NGT has notified and directed that it should be 1 in 25 years, considering that Delhi is already a city which is developed. There are bunds on either side. So 1 in 25 years is the NGT order. We were part of that order. We were trying to implement that. The flood level, 1 in 25-year flood level. One in 100 years is what the notification of Government of India says. 1 in 100 years is what the Government of India notification says. The NGT had said that considering the realities on the ground today in Delhi, let's at least achieve 1 in 25 years. Even that is not being achieved by, if you do things like that riverfront that you are doing. So it will be a violation of the government's own notification of 2016. It will also be violation of the NGT's order of 2015. So that is another thing. So this is on the question of environmental flow, and on this thing. On pollution, I do want to say, people are asking about money. Money will be spent in various STPs that they want to set. Delhi today treats only about 75%, 77% of the sewage it generates. There are 1,800 unauthorized colonies, only 1,200 are seaward. The rest all sewage goes into Yamuna. I've already told Haryana and UP, the sewage treatment is pathetic. There is hardly any sewage treatment plant working in Haryana or in your adjoining state. So whatever you do in Delhi, that will get neutralized. So these are some of the issues which we must be aware of. So I can see I have a lot of data also which I don't want to share because it's paucity of time. Because I am also very emotional about this issue.
The issue for what we have not been able to do in the past.
Yeah.
But instead, if you could help, and I will request Mr. Borkar to look into this matter, that if we can put down the good things that have not been done, which Delhi could do.
Yes.
You have to start somewhere.
No, we have to see. This time is too short at this stage. We are already running out of time. But I can come and sit across the table with you and also tell the points that need to be done at Delhi level.
No, we'll
form
a subcommittee.
I would like to inform the West House.
Sorry?
That there is a high-level committee involving chief secretaries of all the 4 states, the secretary of the National Jal Committee, and Sansthan Mantralaya, and highest possible level, and ministers involved in that. And this committee has met 10 times. And the 10th meeting took place only recently, which only shared that again the targets are not met. They are only following Justice Swatantra Singh order. And they have to complete that order before they take the next talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
So and say, that's why I want to say that it must be steered by the central government, because Delhi alone will not be able to revive Yamuna.
Yeah, thank you so much. I would like to emphasize that there is no one single modular approach which can be taken to tackle a problem which is multidimensional, multifaceted. Even in just this 22-kilometer stretch, each kilometer of stretch is different from the other kilometer, and whether we go breadth-wise or we go length-wise. So going by what Yogita said, I think we really need an integrated plan, where integrated plan and the inputs which have come from various different experts have spoken specifically on certain subjects, like you've spoken on biodiversity. Yes, we need to do biodiversity. Justice I've said STPs and all, we need to do STPs also. Somebody said conservation, we need to do that also. Somebody said rainwater, so we need to do. An action plan has to be integrated for this entire 22-kilometer stretch. We get these states on the board because they are equal stakeholders either before or after. We need to do that and then make a plan, and then all these things have to be implemented simultaneously. We need to do a PERT chart or a CPM chart, and we need to work systematically, and all of these things have to be done simultaneously, and then it becomes a doable plan. I was very glad to hear somebody talked about the outcome thing. So we really need to finalize the outcome. What are we looking at? Are we looking at tourism? Are we looking at clean water? Are we looking at fisheries? Are we looking at biodiversity? Are we looking at grasslands? Are we looking at agriculture? All these things. And then we move backwards, merge the plan, and then we pose it to the government, even to the NGT, because NGT, with due respect, has all legal acumen of knowledge. But when it comes to these technical integrated plans, we can give them some suggestions. No, please, I'm not trying to criticize, but I'm saying inputs can be provided to them as well as other authorities.
Environmentalists, professors who are members of the.
Not only that, sir, to supplement your point,
And
not
he's
only
one
that,
of them.
not only that.
Okay, okay, okay,
not
okay.
only that.
I don't want to get into that area.
It is not only that NGT had these members of different backgrounds, but when the judgment, before the judgment was delivered, the amount of discussions that the NGT members in conference room
Point taken,
had
sir.
with
Sir, taken.
experts,
Point
with
taken.
experts like him, Professor
Point taken,
Gosai,
sir. So what I have done,
any number of discussions.
point taken, point taken. What I have done, sir, for your quick reference, because I knew that there is time paucity is there, I have prepared a paper, 8-page note, and I've already sent a WhatsApp to you, giving the entire integrated strategy on how it is to be done or how it can be done. I know I've already sent that. Maybe you can circulate it and then, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Sorry, no, we are closed now. We are just crossing. We are going on.
Can we take last question? One. Okay.
There are 2-3 points which have emerged, which are takeaways. You see, can we please, excuse me, no, we are closing now. So just give please attention to what has to be said. You see, the point is there's been a very critical discussion has taken place today at a citizens level. It's a citizens dialogue, you know. So we as citizens have to move ahead and pressurize whomever we can, you know. It's first of all our own peers, citizens, as Justice said. There's so many things which we are doing we shouldn't be doing. As Professor Gosain also said, I mean, to infuse the sewage, you know, I mean, storm water is going into the sewage. Now that's straining the whole system. You see, so we have to think of all this ourselves also before we point fingers at others. So that's at the peer level. The second level is that we have to pressurize the government. The third thing is that we have even to think whether we become parties to you know, on the legal issue, you know, because that's also very important. So we'll form a subcommittee where you know, there have been important interventions here, which we will now bring together. That's the second stage. And the third stage is that we have to also keep documentation. You know, we'll try to document this meeting and prepare a document on this, because that's also very important to take this forward. You know? So I would like to thank you all for participation and such active participation, and especially to the panelists, to Professor Gosain, to Reena, to Professor Ram Kumar, to Justice Swatantra Kumar, to Deepak Pental, the Vice Chancellor, former Vice Chancellor, because he's in fact pushed us quite a lot. So we also need to be pushed, you know. And then to activists like you, what's your name, sir? Beam. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Because we are paying a tribute to Manoj ji also for this, Manoj Mishra. Because, yeah, and Professor Babu, of course, has been strength. No, that's okay. Yeah, yeah. So thank you very much. And we will work again on this and come forward with what we have decided. Thank you. We just need to come closer. Can you just move closer?